is the Viper and the Legend Killer. He is the Rainmaker. Both won their first world title before the age of 25. Both have devastating high drop kicks and both are staples of their respective brands. But we never got to find out what would happen if these two company men went one-on-one against each other. That is, until now. Welcome to Dave Knows Wrestling's Dream Match, where I will finally analyze these two combatants by examining their virtues, their weaknesses, and their prospects for victory. Everything to best appropriate, calculate, and approximate who would and should get booked to go over in a big dream match booking. And today's episode is Randy Orton versus Kazuchika Okada. First, we need to pick a specific point in history for this dream match to go down. After that, we're going to take a look at a few highlights throughout both men's careers. And then finally, it's on to a breakdown of their win percentages, so we can see who the numbers favor in this equation. All this and more will be used in order to formulate who will come out as the victor. Now, with all this being said, let's decide on when this hypothetical dream match will be taking place. Throughout both Kazuchika Okada and Randy Orton's careers, there are plenty of years to choose from for this match. We could pick each of the individual years that they first won world titles, or we could even go with 2010, when Okada wrestled in America for TNA. But if we're going to pick one specific point in wrestling history for this dream match to take place, well, we're gonna go with the most probable, which, believe it or not, is the New Japan Cup 2020. Now, I know this might seem like a completely random date, but this might just be the closest that we ever got to this match actually happening, even if it really wasn't all that close at all. Back in 2019, Orton had been teasing leaving WWE, including getting into a Twitter exchange with one Will Ospreay, where he straight up tweeted that the two of them would be facing off in June of 2020. Now, clearly this didn't happen, but it's probably the closest that we ever got to the Viper joining New Japan. Furthermore, this was also the return of the company as they were coming back from shutdown with the New Japan Cup, which the Rainmaker was indeed in the finals of. And so, in this scenario, Okada and Orton will be facing off in the tournament, in the finals of which, to be exact. And with that being said, the date is now set. So let's take a look at some career highlights. Now, as far as championships are concerned, it's not even close. Okada has 5 reigns as the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, while Orton, on the other hand, has doubled that, with 10 reigns as the WWE Champion, not to mention additional reigns with the World Title, Intercontinental Title, the United States Title, and 3 separate Tag Team Championships, where Okada has only won 1 championship throughout his entire career. Although, the Rainmaker does have accomplishments outside of that, as he has won the G1 Climax Tournament 3 times, as well as the New Japan Cup, which is what they're competing for today, twice. But let's not forget that Orton has additional accomplishments too, as he has won the Money in the Bank and is a 2-time Royal Rumble winner. And while Okada did win his first world title when he was just slightly younger than Orton, Randy has the honor of being the youngest WWE World Champion of all time, where in New Japan, that's a distinction that goes to Shinsuke Nakamura, who won his first world title there at the age of 23. And even though it didn't have it as part of the name yet, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship was indeed considered a world title, just to be clear. Alright, so now that we've gone over a few of their career highlights, let's take a look at the calculations. Dr. Dave here. After examining the win-loss ratio of one Kazuchika Okada and one Randall Keith Orton, we can draw some pretty thorough conclusions. In 2020, the year in question, Orton had a total win percentage of 57.1 with 16 wins over 28 matches. And remember, one of those wins last year got him the WWE title. Conversely, Okada scored 38 wins over 76 matches, only giving him 50% in wins, which is 7.1% less than Orton, thus giving Randy the advantage. But on the other hand, in straight one-on-one singles competition, Orton's win percentage goes up slightly to 59.1, while Kazuchika's skyrockets to 73.7, which is definitely a much more decisive lead. However, in terms of size, Orton takes this one, as he is listed as being 6'5 and 250 pounds, where Okada is 6'3 and 236 pounds. Although, in contrast to that, Okada definitely has youth on his side, as he is 8 years younger than that of the Viper. Alright, so the combatants are set, and it's time to find out who would win this epic fantasy dream match booking. Will it be Randy Orton or Kazuchika Okada? And your winner is Kazuchika Okada. Outside the world of kayfabe, both men have been recognized for their talents quite a lot, with Randy being the PWI Rookie of the Year in 2001 and Wrestler of the Year in both 2009 and 2010, as well as being ranked number 1 on the PWI 500 in 2008. In contrast, Okada topped the PWI 500 at number 1 himself, as well as also being called the most outstanding wrestler and Wrestler of the Year by the Wrestling Observer, all of which happened in 2017. And additionally, while this does seem like a classic case of the New Japan wrestler doing better in the Observer, while the WWE wrestler does better in the PWI, I should point out that the Rainmaker has also won Match of the Year multiple times in both the Observer and the PWI, where Randy has never won it in either. Furthermore, let's also point out that if this was a different time, the booking might have gone differently. As mentioned earlier, Orton does have the size advantage, and New Japan definitely has a history of favoring big American horses. How else do you explain Prince Albert winning the very cup that both men are competing for in this match? Moving forward, instead of focusing on the past, let's focus on the finish. As in, how could this match possibly end up? Because Randy's greatest weapon in this bout would have to be his punt kick, as it is one of the most protected finishers in all of the industry. But being from New Japan, the home of strong style, a stiff shot to the face is something that Okada is just used to. Moreover, just like with Orton, it's actually Okada's secondary finisher that's the bigger threat, as Okada's heavy rain maneuver is more akin to John Cena's FU, something that has put down the Apex Predator plenty of times, considering that John Cena has an over 80% win ratio over Orton in their one-on-one competitions. In addition, Okada has also wrestled in longer matches, wrestling just a few minutes longer in his Dominion bout with Kenny Omega than Orton did in his 60-minute Iron Man match with John Cena. And while Orton has won a world title more times than Okada, that also means that he's lost it more times too, with Okada having more overall days as champion. Combined, the Rainmaker has a total of 1,790 days across his 5 title reigns. Orton only has 680 days with the WWE title and 135 days with the World Championship, which, even combined, don't come anywhere near the amount of days that KAZUCHIKA has been a world champion. In the end, Okada's reigns just came down too hard for the legend of Randy Orton to stay alive, which is why your winner is the Rainmaker, KAZUCHIKA Okada.